All right, and welcome back to another episode. I am Ronnie, and she is Kelly.
Hi,
Hey, what's
what's
up?
up?
We just it's funny, our intros are interesting sometimes, but our pre-conversation might be the best conversation we ever had.
We probably should have recorded that.
That was so good. And it wasn't anything like compelling to give an audience, like for a podcast. It was just us catching up on some stuff. And then there was some real like personal stuff. And then that led to this and to that. It was really great because it gives us a chance to know your co host a little bit better, which is kind of what we did last week, our last episode already, which was 21 questions with a podcaster. So we're really kind of stepping into our own. How are you overall feeling? You have a bang today, so we're
I
staring
do
at your
have a
beautiful
bang
bang.
today,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I have bangs today.
Yeah.
I know I'm feeling good. What we were talking about earlier and stuff is kind of, the direction and stuff that I think could be fun for our podcast to go is really taking in entertainment and pop culture and adding those personal vibes and different, personal experiences stuff into it. So I'm kind of excited for what we're going to do next and, getting to know each other on that deeper level and, sharing it with whoever wants to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's good because yeah, it's like chapter one, I would say, is finished. It
Yeah.
was a quest to record a recap series, 28 episodes, along with getting the darn creator of the show, Julie Clouster, on with us. So if you want to see that, go to difficultpodcasters.com. You could see the 28 episodes where we recapped the Hulu series Difficult People. So that's where the inspiration went from the beginning. But now it's like, well, what do we do? And we have tons of ideas, by the way. I'm not saying we're like, oh gosh, what do we do? We're just like trying to figure out where to start because there's so many different great ideas, and that's been very inspiring for us both. Um, and just kind of cool because it makes me think of like it really is going to be a difficult, like, what is it like? What are we, a delightfully brazen recap series as we always are? But then you add, let's go into those memories in the 90s. Let's go into that work hard, play hard in our 20s and our 30s, and then kind of like, well, damn, you wake up one day and you're like, I'm over 36 years old and my back hurts. And why am I so freaking grumpy? So I feel like a lot of that will be coming to the surface as far as our own stories versus what we did before. Do you think we're ready
So
for
it's still recapping. It's like recapping, life mixed in with how pop culture has changed and the different ways that entertainment has kind of played a part in it for us.
Yeah, like
So
we refer to a lot of movies that
totally
we
fun.
grew up, knowing. You were talking about how reality bites and its connection with maybe reality TV, or
Yeah.
even just like the real world and its connection with, how people saw different types of people, getting along with each other. So it's all these great things that, as people who grew up in the '90s, that was like when you were in the '90s, Kelly. Didn't you think you were the shit? Like, didn't you think nothing was bigger than this? I thought I was the ultimate version of being a grown up right there at 17 years old. And little did I not know anything, but those memories are plugged into my brain so
Oh,
tight.
totally. Are you kidding? I thought I was so badass. I mean, I moved away from home at like right at 18 after I graduated high school. I, thought I was going to be married by 25 and have a whole I mean, I had this whole life plan that did
There's always a
not
plan, always a plan.
turn out that way at all. It's funny when I think about it now because going through those life moments, like when I was 25, I couldn't imagine having like a husband and a family, like my mindset at that age. Like, no way. I had just moved to LA. Like, no.
Do you sometimes laugh? Like, I don't know if you've been around young colleagues or whatever, and I hear them and they're like in that 23, 24 stage, and they're going to have it all set up by this time. And it just
Mhm.
helps me because I have to laugh because I'm like, you don't understand. We've been there too. And they look at us like, well, you don't understand. It's different for me. Like, I
Yeah.
understand maybe
It's
your
always
your
different for
your
you.
yeah, your life, hi, you're the cat lady, like I understand they think it was an effort thing. They don't realize sometimes things just don't fall in alignment. Sometimes it's not your specific season. And they're so specific to think that at 22, you're going to get everything you want. And I mean everything. They
Oh,
mean
yeah.
they want a career, they want the marriage, and they want the kids. Like, you'd be lucky to have one if instead of all three. There's nothing wrong with having that ambition, but at the same time, I laugh every time when I meet them like 6 years later. I'm like, so how'd that perfect 26-year-old life go for you? Oh, well, I had to move back to Arizona. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
dummy.
seriously.
I told you. You should have listened to
Yeah,
me.
I was in LA for what, like almost 2 years. And then, when by the time I turned 25 and I was still barely making any money, I was like changing my career path. There was no way I could take care of another human being or, actually have a family. I could barely take care of myself. It was amazing I was able to pay rent.
Yeah, no, it's quite incredible how people at a certain age feel like so much is available to them, and it's great to have that ambition, but you have to have a little grace when things don't go that way. So maybe I should say it that way. I don't want to say it in a mean way where I'm thinking like, "Oh, you don't deserve to have that dream," but I want
Oh,
people to
yeah,
be
no.
more sympathetic when and I probably should have done it too when I was in my 20s and I would look at 32-year-olds. I'm like, "Oh dear. Oh, oh, well, you
Well,
don't
because back
understand."
then 32 was like so old, right?
Yeah, I would
Now
look
I
at
would like,
them
I miss being 32.
I would look at them like, "Oh dear, you don't understand. I don't know what you did with your life, but I'm Ronnie and we don't go faster than this. Like I'm 9 days a week of work. Like, bitch, I'm gonna get my money." And
I
that's what I
know, it's
thought.
so
It,
funny. Like it is. It's like it's such a funny thing, and it makes me laugh. Like anytime I think about, I think about like the mindset and how things change, like going through those. And I'm from a small town in Texas, so there was also the pressures of that. Like every time you go back, which I know a lot of single people get, no matter where you're from.
mhm,
Like when you go back home, it's like, oh, you're still single. I'm sorry. Or oh, you don't have any kids. You don't have this and that, and then it kind of like messes with you a little bit, or at least it did for me when I
yeah.
hit these age milestones and I felt like I was like failing. And then I'd have to look and be like, it was never my goal to have that. So what am I failing at? Like,
Do
it's
you
just so
think
interesting.
you end up we know you, all of our friends know you for the great work you've done, and you're such a go-getter and such a boss as far as the work that you've done over the years. Publicist, and all these things. Do you think it made you work harder to somehow shut people up from back home? Like, well, maybe I don't have this, but because I have this, or did it have it no connection?
I mean, it probably did, like subconsciously for sure, because I think, and that's what I think about now, because I am a very extreme person. And I don't think I ever fully realized it. And it's the thing that your parents tell you that you always think is bullshit and you never want to believe. It's like you'll get it
Mm,
when you're older. And like I so get it. And I wish I would have paid more attention and slowed things down and not been I don't know. I wish I would have just processed things a little bit differently to appreciate all of that. I don't think I would have done any of the things I did differently. I just might have reacted to situations differently.
well, what was the thing that they said that you put too much into like one thing, like all your eggs in one basket, or you were too aggressive?
That Yeah, like
Yeah, what
that,
they
and
say?
like not slowing down, like not taking
Oh, okay.
time to because it's like you work, but what are you working for? You're not taking any time to appreciate and enjoy the fruits of all this labor.
So what do you think? Where do you
And
think that comes from? I have an idea, but where do you think that comes from? Because I'm similar in that way. You know.
for me, and nothing against my mom or my friends, that have had kids at early ages, but I didn't want to be barefoot and pregnant, like the stereotype of the town I
Mhm,
lived in. I didn't want to
got
be
it.
that. I didn't, that's, my mom loved being a mom. She wanted to have a family and do all that. She had a career as well too, and she just wanted that family life and was able to balance it in a way that I just didn't ever really want.
Yeah,
I always wanted to have something to do with with movies and Hollywood and all of that, and that was always my dream ever since I was a little kid. And I
yeah.
just never dreamt of having a family. I mean, my one of my friends got pregnant when we were still in middle school. Like that just never was the life that I wanted.
Mhm.
And lucky for me, I didn't, my plan didn't get derailed in that way, but also I think about that, but then you get older and it's like, well, was it lucky for me, or did I kind of miss out because I blinked and now I'm way older than I thought I was before I would have stopped and been like, okay, now I can kind of look on the other side of the fence. So
That's a tough
I don't
one.
know.
It's a tough one because of the
Mhm.
societal pressures of women and bearing children. I can't speak to that
Yeah.
at all. What I was going to speak to is more like, why do we put all of our eggs in one basket? Why do we work 9 days a week of work? Why do we go 155 miles an hour? And I
Mhm.
think it's because, or a problem I saw in myself around the time I was done with being 20 and I was hitting 30. This was about a year before I moved to New York. So everything kind of clicked for me and I was starting to understand
Yeah.
life a little more. But for me, I realized it, and sometimes I have to check myself today, even till this day, where I think the reason, and maybe you're similar, where I would work too hard is because, and it's weird to say, if you work too hard and you put everything into it and you put all your eggs in that one basket, do you know what you're doing, Kellie? You're not letting the faith of the skill set and what you bring to the table sit. You're not letting it rest ever. You are
Mhm.
deciding that I'm going to shove this shit so far into your face for you to give me a calculation as far as I want a promotion, I want to raise, I want to grow in this career, or I want to showcase I'm ambitious. And I really had come to a point in my life around late 20s, early 30s where I was like, I think I really need to let let things just materialize. I'm putting too much
Yeah.
like I feel like my joints in my body were like feeling the stress hormones were growing because I was so tense about, well, I've done everything I can. And so then when the person or the boss or the supervisor, whatever it would be, could not grant me that next level of my work career to help my pocketbook, of course, I would now have an enemy. So it was like a circular, self gratifying situation. I did everything I could. I didn't get to grow in this industry, and now I get to blame somebody. So bitter gets to stay bitter, gets to stay bitter, gets to stay
Mhm.
bitter. And I
Well,
try
I
so
think, yeah, I think too, it's also about trying to control, like how, you strangle it to death. So you're trying to control where it goes and not, as you perfectly put, just kind of letting it be and just kind of seeing how it went. And I think a little bit of that has to do with like fear we don't realize that we have,
I love
the
that. Yeah.
fear of not being good enough. And when somebody doesn't let you go to that next level, or there's, politics in the workplace that don't work out, or people don't get you, and they take things that you do and say to a whole other level, and it just kind of makes for a toxic environment, you feel like you failed or you're not good enough, and the fear comes back. And it's like, yes, we, can point the finger and blame and whatever, but I think we know at the end of the day the blame more so hits us, so then we work that much harder the next time. And it just kind of is that hamster wheel of that.
And
Instead
that's
of being
what
able to breathe and say, okay, I get what my issue is.
and that's why I think you got to let faith take a little bit
Yeah.
of
Hmm.
a stab at it, because you get so uncomfortable where you're like, I'm going to push so hard and I'm going to give all these bells and whistles. What if you literally just walked into a scenario and said, look, and I'm trying for you, let's say publicist, for me, it was
Hmm.
radio or television or production or whatever. I'm trying to be the best at this job, and just let it be. Like, let it actually put those words out there, manifest it, but like, let it be. I never did that in my late
Yeah, I
20s.
didn't either.
I used to come like with the heat, and it was not necessarily always met with good response. And then again, the circle of, well, now I'm
Mhm.
mad at so and so who's not helping my career raise or whatever. So I think the bad is that I have to recognize that in my late 20s, just like I said a second ago. We're going
Right.
to be starting to talk about working hard, playing hard in our 20s and 30s, and then now where we're at, much older than those times. And how those bad lessons, though they are bad and kind of tough to look back on, how exciting they are though, because how now I try not to approach anything like that. Like I try to approach things now like, I'm gonna give good at what I do, but I always got to pull myself back. If I feel like I'm starting to get into that 9 days of work week kind of thing, or I don't have boundaries to say, oh no, I'm off on Saturday. Like literally, like I'm done. Like I'm not working
Right.
on Saturday, because the negativity of people telling you you're not going to get anywhere in this world unless you work hard tells you, well, I don't deserve a Saturday off. But that's wrong.
No, it totally is.
Especially
And
when you have an up. Oh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just gonna say it's the changing of the mindset is so great, and it doesn't, as much as we kick ourselves because it's happening now versus before, it doesn't really matter, because as long as it's happening shows the evolution of yourself. So I think about it when I look at people that maybe were some roadblocks for me throughout my life or my career, and I look back now and they're exactly the same. Nothing
Mm,
has changed about them.
mhm.
So I can sit and think and be made to feel, I was made to feel like things were my fault or like this and that. But then I look back and it's like, they're exactly the same. Nothing's different. No, it's no evolution of self. There's no growth. There's no. It's all. I don't want to be that.
So
That's for sure.
you definitely feel like you operate things different than you did 10 years ago.
I'm trying to. I feel
That's
like
okay
it's
though. That yeah.
forever going to be a work in progress, but I understand it differently. I might have the same knee jerk reaction, but then I'll be real quick to take it back, take a breath, and be like, okay, this is what needs to be different right here, and I can recognize it in ways that I didn't before.
Then I think
And
we're
I think
exactly the
that's better.
same.
Yeah.
I think we're exactly the same because I'm not saying I've mastered it, but I can recognize those patterns that take me to a really bad place.
Mm-hmm.
I can see even if there's like an event that comes up like at a family event, you
Yeah.
used to prioritize it like as how important is it really, and that's like such a crazy thing. You were taught to be like, well, the only way to achieve success, as Kim Kardashian will tell you, is just get up and fucking work.
Yeah.
So you just never like allowed happiness, and I think that's one of the things we're trying to do is we're going to take a look at this journey. We're still going to be difficult, bitter bitches, by the way, but we're going to
Totally.
try.
Are you kidding?
I mean, come
Forever.
on,
That's
it
never
was
going to go away.
easy. No,
That's
but
the
we're gonna.
fun part of it all.
But we're gonna look at it all. We're gonna be like, damn, what was it? Ronnie and Kellie, similar in age. We grew up in the '90s. We partied hard and worked hard in our fucking 20s and early 30s, and now we're just significantly over 36. But we're just kind of just trying to make it every day and not be too grumpy, but bring you a good fucking show. Like that to me is the show. That's what Difficult Podcasters has evolved to. So the reason that we're good at this and we're at least trying to make the changes is because I've told you before, and Kellie also told you, I think recently, how in radio we would do the radio air checks. It's one of the most, well, let me let you describe a radio air check because it's not fun. Or did you not go through them as much?
I was only on air for a short time, so I didn't really have to do them too much. And I didn't really, what's so funny, and it's just like funny to me now when I think about it on the way that I looked at being on the radio. I didn't take it as talking to the city. I looked at it as being silly, talking to myself in a room. Like, who wants to listen to that? I didn't really appreciate it for what it was. And I just didn't really care if I did or not. So, but basically a radio air check is
I'm like, funny, Kellie, because I did a lot of air checks and they were really demoralizing. I don't even think I used to be mean until I started getting air checks. You got to put the energy somewhere.
I only did probably I did one when I first got my on-air job, and then I did maybe like 5 total, like overall. I didn't really do very many, but basically what it is like you record yourself on air for your time slot, and you have to do your commercials, you have to do your lead-ins, lead-outs, and your intros, weather breaks, all that stuff depending on what your show is. And then you sit with the program director, who is like the boss of everyone that gets on and off the radio, and you have to go through it. They listen to it and then they critique the whole thing, and they tell you where you excel, where you don't, where your strengths are. And it's basically like redlining your homework with with a pen, like a red pen, like crossing out, marking, and all that, but it's live in your face.
And they don't stick to their words sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, did you hear what you said last week? Last week you told me to go this way, and now you're telling me to go this way. You have got to make up your mind.
Yeah, but they won't admit, like, well, I watched you do what I said before, but it doesn't really work, so let's try this. They'll just be like, no, you're supposed to do this, and no, I never said that.
And don't catch them at a time where their job's on the bubble too,
yes.
Where they're trying to justify, I have to like give all this critique and tell this person to do this, and I'm going to give you homework today. Homework? I just finished my shift. You give me homework tomorrow. And it gets tough. But the beauty of it, and I say this as far as like let's say whenever we get a compliment, Ronnie, Kellie, we like your show. Well, I would like to think our time in radio and just being around people who were critical of your work and, for the good and the bad, we explained a couple different ways. Those air checks, which I've of course had more than Kellie, were valuable. I used to say about air checks, while they're tough do your show, press play, and they never play them quietly. They leave the door open. They turn it the loudest everyone in the hall could hear. Downstairs they could hear you too, and you just have to kind of say like, oh, why did you do that talk break? What was your goal? This, that, and the other. And it really does teach you to double down on your objective of what you're doing
Yeah.
within your radio show. And I think that's been a very big help on our podcast. Do we get it right every episode? I don't think so, but we definitely come up with some really good ideas that we could double down upon. Me and Kellie will go on the text message or on a phone call or on a voice message, and we'll just be like, should we try this? Is that corny? Should we try this? We're basically air checking ourselves every episode. So I hope that you guys enjoy the work. But we're going to do our world's first air check today. So today's concept of the show is basically podcasters cringing over the first episode, which is kind of funny because we haven't really grown that far.
We still haven't fully gotten it together, but I think it's because the one chapter is kind of closing and we are transitioning into something different. It's going to be fun to go back and look and see kind of how, if at all, we have evolved in the last,
I think our fan base, one person, deserves a self-deprecating episode because Kellie doesn't hold her tongue for what she knows is right. I don't hold my tongue for what I know is right. So you have a lot of episodes where I'm like, well, I know everything. And I have those real confident episodes. It's nice that we take an episode that we get to look and be like, ooh, that was a choice. So I guess we should start it. Yes. Let's play our first episode and see kind of what our spirit feels like, if we're as upbeat. And Kellie, at any time, just step in and I can turn this off real quick. So let's pull this up. And this is Difficult Podcasters, episode 1, when we were much more bright-eyed and bushy-tail. And let's see how that came across. We'll do it with our intro here. 3, 2, 1. Nice intro. Well, what's up, Ronnie Jr. along with Kellie Oliski. How are you, Kellie?
I'm great. How are you?
Ooh, okay, so Difficult Podcasters is the name of the show, and this is the name of the show.
I still can't get my lighting right.
Recap of Hulu's Difficult People. It debuted in 2015. Kellie, you know I love this show. I've been friends with you forever. We both love this show. Difficult People. I want to talk a bit about how we know each other as well, and we've been friends for since like 2003. But we'll get. Geez, let her say hello. I want to do this.
Do you
Go ahead.
Like how? And I still do this, and I don't know if it's something I will ever not do. But I'm so fidgety because you see, I'm nervous.
Oh.
And I always am when the camera's on me. So I'm always moving. I'm always touching my hair. I'm always doing something. So I will apologize to everyone now for that because it's a nervous tick. And so
I do this a lot too. Sometimes I don't even drink my water. I just go like this.
But see how you're so used to it. So you're you're still, you're talking. Me, I'm moving around in my chair. I'm rocking back and forth.
At the same time, I've already done a monologue and I haven't so much as said, how do you feel? Let's see how much longer I go without even asking how Kellie feels. I'm this is embarrassing. Here we go. Get to that in a moment. Kellie, first thing, how are you? And what brought you to the show originally in 2015, August 2015, when the show started? What made you take to it?
Honestly, I think it was you, because right when this show was promoting, I remember it was before anybody really was all about Hulu, because Hulu was pretty new.
Yeah.
And because I think it was one of their first original shows.
Even if they had other shows, they didn't have the success of Handmaid's Tale. Hulu was still newish.
It was still fairly new. And I remember, we were watching all these great shows, and this was one that you had pointed out to me and was just very much check out the promos. You got to see this. And as soon as I saw the first teaser, I was absolutely, this is totally, thing. Because when, I was living in LA at the time. And,
oh my God, stop.
Work is hard. Life is
She said, if he went on a tangent, I better go on one too.
How many times in an episode can I say, I think that we should make that into a drinking game.
Don't drive after.
You might be dead after playing.
Oh gosh. You did say it a couple times. Well, I like this show, and Hulu,
In
Hulu didn't
one
really.
sentence, I said it probably 4 times.
Well, you had stage fright because I didn't let you speak, and then all of a sudden it's like, Kellie, tell me everything. Tell me how you feel. Oh gosh.
Well, that's hilarious.
I gotta say, I'm obsessed with the fact that I have a Janet Jackson picture behind me. All hail to the Queen. So if you don't have a set, you better damn well have a Janet Jackson picture behind you.
True.
That's my takeaway. Let's hear how you're talking about your publicist LA days.
It's hard, and it's exactly what these characters are going through, and it's it's walking and talking and living through a lot of these similar situations, and how you just feel like the world is against you and it's everybody else's fault, and it's just kind of that struggle when you're not exactly where you want to be, and it was very, very relatable and very, very funny.
It feels like shows are in the middle, not in the middle, rather. They are either one side or the other. It's like the most delightfully kind-hearted show, which is nice. I love that too. Or just like drama. There's never like a sweat the small shit type of shows. And that's exactly what I am not a good wordy human being. It's just like, Kellie, it's either on this side or it's drama. Like most people who recap television, they have really great words as far as the plot and the character development. I'm over here like, this show has this, and this show has drama.
Well, I think I said like 3 more times. So
we will never do a drinking game because that could be dangerous. Oh, this is fun. This is like our first intro of what our concept is, and even looking back at it, it's exciting because from those 2 people that we're staring at right now, they have now done 28 episodes along with an interview from the series creator, Julie Klausner, about this show. Like, not for nothing, we should be very proud of who we're looking at,
No, absolutely. Because I know sitting there that day, it was just something fun we wanted to do. We didn't know at all where this would go, if anywhere, if we would be able to interview anyone associated with the show. And luckily, we were able to do 2 great interviews. And one of them happened to be the creator of the show, which in itself is amazing for our little podcast. And I love that we were able to bring this to life after talking about it for so many years. It just is such a fun thing, and I love that you are such a go-getter that you make shit happen.
It was good that it wasn't phoned in because there's just, again, so many similarities. Not that we're the only one who are luxurious to watch that show on Hulu and be like, oh, that makes us feel like each other. But it really did make us feel similar in a lot of ways. I'm like, sure, we weren't the exact characters, but we had a lot of things to tie together. So to have that yin yang, common bond, common interest, I was really glad that we did it. I was glad that no one else was doing it. And, before no time, Hulu may have a series that they have the actual cast and creators do it, which would be fine as well. But we got to do it from the fan point of view. I thought I learned so much. And when you always talk about, you personally, you always talk about the concept of like, you wanted to be more in storytelling and writing and all these things and even acting. I'm like, who's to say after we do this podcast or as we grow this podcast, we don't stop down on our off days when we're not recording and we start putting some pen to the paper and see what stories we could tell, because they're all different. Maybe we can tell stuff that's more in the vein of our age group, as it keeps getting older and older by the year. And it just really opened up a lot. I was very proud of the project. But that. So, where did it go? Hold on. Let's see. 1 second. Let me bring this back. Okay, say a sentence while I bring the episode back here.
Oh, that's okay. We're good. You don't have to.
No, I found it. I found it.
I'm kidding.
I found it, and we must watch it. Okay. Okay, let's watch a little bit more because we're this is so delightful. Difficult People was obviously Difficult People. I don't know when I got where I learned of it. It might have just been searching on Hulu or whatever. I knew there was a little bit of buzz because it was Billy from the Streets transitioning into this new series, along with Julie Klausner. Julie Klausner also worked on Billy on the Streets as well. So they already had a synergy going into this. Amy Poehler as the executive producer. So I don't know. I just wanted to give it a shot. And I got to tell you, this is no diss, but I wasn't necessarily the fan base for Billy on the Streets. Like that show. I never really watched that show. It's kind of like the type of segments they do for.
I've seen clips,
but
Jimmy
Fallon, this show I like.
Very packaged, like with Kimmel and whatever. Yeah,
definitely Billy is insanely talented, but that's not what brought me to the show. I agree with you. It was the trailer. Like the trailer was like, oh, so basically you could be aspiring for whatever you're aspiring for, and the world will tell you like, don't have an opinion or don't complain about it. Like I don't even enunciate, Kelly. You could. The word is you could be aspiring, and I said you could be aspiring. I have a nice clean microphone. I should be hitting the microphone, and I'm like, I'm just lazy. It's just lazy. Do you think it was nerves? Were we nervous first episode?
I think we were nervous.
Yeah. Now it's easy.
I'm
now
always nervous.
Oh, really?
That's why I'm so fidgety. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's because I don't let you listen. I haven't heard but two I need more talking from you. Let's speed this up. Like just like enjoy the ride, the journey. Kumbaya. I love all that. Kumbaya. I do. But like sometimes you just want to be like shit. And the line that gets me all the time is how they were talking about like, oh, all of our comedy friends either gave up, moved to the suburbs and started a family, or they're highly successful. And I was like, oh my God, relatable a little bit. You know, it's just like one of those things. So this show I enjoyed. I will tell you that I've watched it about 3 times already. I've watched the whole series. It's just like geez, why even have a co-host? You finish one thought and you go on to your talk show monologue. Well, I'll tell you that I actually watched it 3 times. Like, fuck, man. You've got to be more a duo. Jeez. A good rewatch. One day, Kellie comes to visit me in New York. We originally met in LA in 2003 in radio. Flashing forward, we'll get to our origin story, but I'm going to tell you this, in my opinion, Kellie, is how this show began. I thought this was difficult cute, podcasters, recapping difficult people. Because one day, Kellie comes over, she's doing a work trip in New York. And so she comes to my apartment up on 145th, and we are going to go to a Halloween party, I think. Like you knew somebody who like you wanted to go meet with, as you're in town, you want to try to meet with all your people. And so we're gonna go to a Halloween party. You get in kind of late. We like I said, we dropped the stuff off at my apartment, and then we decide to go and have like a bite to eat at Harlem Shake, actually.
Right.
On 125th.
Was this when it was raining?
Rainy, but it was Halloween, right? And mind you, I know if you're watching this or listening to this, you're like, let's get on with it with difficult people. But I'm gonna tell you why this connects. So Kellie comes over. We go to eat at Harlem Shake. We still don't know the plan because Kellie wants to meet up with some friends. Do you remember that, Kellie?
I do. Yes.
And it's rainy, but we want to get a little bite to eat at Harlem Shake. I don't think we ended up meeting anyone after a while. I think like it was just like a cranky day for me. You might have been delightful, but I was always grumpy. I'm always grumpy. Yeah. And so
we're sitting. Photos from that night. So in the promos on social media, follow us. We'll have all the things for you, and I'll share some images from that night.
We have a lot of photos of us smiling, being grumpy, and drunk. So my God, look at the photo. Hold on, I got to go back. So we ended up tearing it up the night. But I'm going to tell you why this connects. How do I get that? So Kellie comes over. We the Harlem Shake right there. Oh man, that dialogue of like, man, what a dumb costume. Or maybe even like where we were going to go after that, like making our nightly plans. Oh, that's so stupid. Like, that's just basically just saying that we were at the restaurant, going to try to go meet with some friends. Didn't actually happen, but it was Halloween, and how we didn't have a costume. And then Kellie or myself might have said, you know what? Turns out we're in costume. We're actually Billy and Julie of Difficult People. That's literally what happened at the Harlem Shake right there on 124th or whatever it is. And so that to me is why we started to do this podcast. We wanted to do it maybe since back then, but that's literally a true story. Like, that's a true story of how like we weren't in costume because maybe your flight came in late or it was raining or
I think I got a delay because of the weather, so I got stuck and we couldn't land right away or something. I don't remember.
So when you came over, it was more like, can I put my stuff down? Let's go eat. And then it was more like, we'll go out later. But the later never happened. But the shit talking happened. What a stupid costume to wear. What does he think he's doing? Or like somebody had like bad service or whatever. I don't know what it was, but we were very opinionated. And I was like, oh my gosh, Kellie, we are wearing a costume. You're Julie and I'm Billy. We're bitter bitches sitting at this restaurant.
But then the next night, that second picture was the next night where we went to pianos, and then we went to go see DJ Nice because he was playing with.
He was at Santo's house with the Originals. The Originals is like an assemblage of DJs. So it's so crazy to think nowadays DJ D Nice had like this, big resurgence across everything through Instagram. And we were there, which turns out that I actually saw him another night. in Brooklyn as well. So I just was looking through old photos and I was like, oh wow, I've seen D Nice twice. That's so funny. But at the time he was always somebody, of course, but not like this Instagram re-emergence or whatever. So yeah, Kellie and Ronnie have been around. We have danced in the streets for sure. And it is rainy because your hair's wet in that photo.
Yeah, that's when we had came back. I think we were like,
were you
come back to the house?
Were you breadcrumbing anyone in that?
Oh, probably.
You think so?
Probably. I'm sure. Yeah,
I can't find the photo, but we'll put it up later or whatever. Let me skip ahead. Let's see in the 11-minute mark. Let's see how we sound or what we're up to.
Mine, like when's my success going to happen? And this is what we're seeing here.
Well, not even,
they have their ideas too to make more money.
And not even in your mind, in your like, I need to be able to have like healthcare, like stuff like that. Like totally. It's actually less. It's funny when I talk to people about things like the word successful will always come up, like aspiring to be successful. And like sometimes people are like, well, success doesn't create happiness. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about like successful. Like I don't want to be like Joe Rogan of podcasting. For one, I just never do. But secondly, it's more like, when you're aspiring for this career, there's so many sacrifices, and with those sacrifices mean you're not always standing on 2 feet. So oftentimes we're told just to shut up and go on. And like Julie Kessler and Billy Eichner, they didn't shut up. They sweat the small shit, and it tickled me pink. I really liked it. That's an interesting point. It matched. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? I'm gonna take this away here. What do you think about that? The point of like people being real positive, like, oh, you just got to wait for your time. Steve Carell didn't make it to such and such. That's all good and dandy, but there's a time where you have to like really break it down in your own head. Like, it's not like I'm not being patient, but like now I have to be able to take care of my body, like healthcare and all of these things. Like it's a scary journey, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's so much more opportunity to take it upon yourself to get yourself seen and heard, that if you sit back and wait, then you're not doing yourself any favors. Back in our day, there wasn't the same platforms used in the same way. It wasn't as embraced as it is now. So we really didn't have many more options than to hound the shit out of somebody in LA or look to other cities and states to be able to grow and go to the next level. And that's one of the reasons I kind of got out of radio, because I was at the number 2 market already. So unless I could get a job in New York, it didn't really make sense. There's my, it didn't make sense for me to go back down to the lower markets, having made my way up to the number 2 market. But that's the way I thought about it in my head. And I really never wanted to do radio as a goal in the first place. I fell into it because that was one of my only opportunities to get into entertainment at all in the small town that I was living in.
Yeah. One of the things I was mentioning in that clip there was why it's so much easier to just like not say anything and not complain because you're looked at as a complainer. What I valued about the Julie Kessler character was that she was complaining about these issues, because on one hand you look at her as like, oh gosh, she's so needy, she's so this, she's so that, but not really. The biggest thing, and I mentioned this a second ago, it's like it gets scary. And I guess I'm stating this for anyone who's at that journey where like there's almost like 2 parts of them. As a human, I'm okay with being patient. I know my skill set will land one day. So I can sit on that. If you tell me wave a magic wand at 53, it's all going to connect, then I'm happy and I'm good with that. However, from now to 53, how do I make sure I'm getting, like I said, proper healthcare and taking care of myself and having the financial means to like get to that point? When that point hits, great. That's when the cash truck runs in and you could survive. I just thought it was a very interesting take at the fictional character's 35 plus age that they were able to explore on. And it made me feel seen in a way, because I always have that where I'm like, I can't really talk to 9-to-5ers or people I grew up with or family, because they'll just say, get a regular job. And I'm like, if you, or they'll work,
not a real job, right?
Real or regular job. Or they'll say, oh, you should go get a trade job or whatever. I heard if you pay $9,000 for schooling in this, you could be doing this, but in 6 months from now. And while that's all good, I also don't want to look at the career that I've put into so many years and I am proficient at, and I think I have a skill set at, and not redeem that too. It's a hard thing. So when people look at if Kellie is giving an emotion, or if Ronnie's giving a complaint, I think it comes from a really scary place, actually. You know, you would prefer that by 24 I landed my big successful job. But I'm not going to think negatively about myself if it doesn't happen until I'm 52. But that's a scary journey. You're a very lonely journey. So that was another reason that I thought the show was good. I think we're done with watching our first episode. I thought we were report card. What do you give us? What grade do you give us on that?
I give us about a B.
Yeah. We didn't know what we were doing.
No. I mean, not that we do now, but I think that it just, for putting it out there, I think it was great. But if we really want to like critique all these little things that I still need to critique for my portion of it and all of that, maybe solid, let's say B+.
Yeah.
I think we did good.
We were so good at being on the cell phone and calling each other and talking to each other and texting and like the camaraderie there. So you almost think, and we both have radio experience, you almost think it's going to jump onto the podcast day one. And I thought that was pretty good, but it just does go to show that it took a little bit of while to understand each other's isms and, off camera, when we have our little phone meetings, hey, what I'd like out of you, what you would like out of me, or what am I doing wrong? Or it shows that I think we've kind of gelled a little bit better. Not every episode, as you say, but I don't know. I don't really think we need to be that self-deprecating all the time. I think I'm really proud of what we do.
Yeah. I think that is the takeaway, is that we are growing, things are getting better. And as long as I don't get sick on air again, I mean, it should be great.
Okay. So before I do anything, Kellie said before I get sick on air, put a pin in that real quick. I just wanted to tell you, Viridian Row, creativity never goes out of style. If you want to go to the website, it is viridianrow.com. If you want to go to another website that is tons of fun, it is patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. That's where I have additional content and you could support my work, which is great. If you want to see all of our episodes, it's at difficultpodcasters.com. And we have quite a good time putting this show together. And we are very lucky that when we started, even on episode 1, Viridian Row, which you could see the hashtag, not the hashtag, but the @ is at Viridian Row. They supported us from episode 1. So just to have that little backing and to have that little support from day one and having our show be an actual show did feel really good. I was very trepid to do the show at the beginning. I more wanted to have a little bit more resources, maybe a producer to work with us or, a podcast platform that would assist. But we did it on our own. And the only big thanks on that is that Viridian Row and all their creativity and all the work that they do, they wanted to support us. Kellie, do you have any last thoughts on Viridian Row? I know they're small business, so that's something we try our best to support.
Yeah, and they have a lot of really cute graphic t-shirts and handmade things. And you can also customize stuff. So if there's an idea that you have, my favorite is the movie quote t-shirts because I'm obviously like avid lover of movies and television. But you can also make suggestions and they can create things for you. And they have great quality stuff. So definitely check them out.
You know what I want to check out? Check out these two.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So if you're listening audibly, first of all, go to Apple Podcasts and put a review or something like that, or rate and do all the stuff. But if you're watching our show, you're checking out our many, 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 many years of podcasting back in the day together. So again, just as a full, why? What was the reason, Ronnie and Kellie? Why did this make a good combination? And it's not to say we won't bring in guests too, all of our friends and colleagues or whatever, especially now that we're on our next chapter. But the why is because we've done it before and we know that we can do it, So don't get confused when we come here with a bad attitude. Sometimes it's just some last minute things, you do know that when you're watching some of your other podcasts or listening, a lot of them are getting paid tons of money right from the beginning. Viridian Row's putting a little bit of money in our pockets, but not a lot, so it's kind of a hard journey, at the beginning, and we're starting independently, but I don't feel like we're independent type of talent. I think we've done this for a lot of years. And so I'm waiting for everything to kind of cross over and make more sense. That way we could give more to the show. What was interesting about the show too, and I was going to give another compliment before we look at ourselves again in a promo and talk about Kellie getting sick, is that one thing we do really well is we follow each other's story. the beginning synopsis of what we were talking about wasn't necessarily planned even in today's episode. But because we talk so much, we check our boundaries before we do episodes. Me and Kellie could go anywhere because we do know what not to touch. You know what I mean? Out of respect. I don't know if Kellie has as many boundaries as me. I'm kind of the bitch of the show. Kellie, I don't want to talk about that, but I put up my boundaries every episode. Like, this is what's important to me. And we know it so well that we could kind of go off anywhere. Don't you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't get more open than, me having to rush off and have an unexpected vomit session.
Okay, let's look at you throwing up. I think. Wait, is this the one? Okay. All right, well, let's watch the clip and then we'll talk. Let's watch the clip and then we'll talk. And welcome to the show, Difficult Podcast. Oh wait, I gotta bring it back. What's up? I'm Ronnie. Hold on. Let me bring it back. Let me make it big size. Okay, here we go.
There it is. Look at that screenshot right there. Lovely.
Oh, you want to play a game? There's the screenshot.
Nice. Yeah.
Earlier, I gotta take that down. That is not fair. Earlier, we were.
Just remember, paybacks, mofo.
Oh shit! I forgot. Forgot who I was fucking with. Earlier, before we started to do the show, we had to do some kind of a check for like something with the lighting or whatever. So that's where that photo was from. It's not like I'm taking pictures of Kellie, but that's a good one. Anyways, let's watch this in full, talk about the promo, and then we'll come back. Should we try?
I mean, we can.
Let's try. Okay. 3, 2. I don't know what just happened. And welcome to the show, Difficult Podcasters. Kellie, what's up? I'm Ronnie. How are you?
I'm doing great.
You see, that's what I love about this show, Kellie.
No,
I'm sweating for you. That's how bad it was.
And she's probably like 40-something telling this like 18-year-old, you fucking cunt, bitch. And her boyfriend is like, shut the fuck up. And then she's like, oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Oh my, she wanted that smoke.
All the things that we did in that job put me in so many different situations with so many different types of people. Like, that's how I became a publicist. Has your code never changed?
I mean, I feel like I drip drop naturally. And I was feeling
bug.
And I was like, what was that? Bug? Oh my god.
Oh my
Who
god.
are we?
Wow.
Okay, first thoughts after you saw all of that.
I need to brush my hair. I need hair makeup people. Come on, Viridian Row. Let's get it together.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, we do the best that we can, but with not a lot of backing, so
my Texas humidity is never my friend. Hopefully ladies can relate.
So what was that about? You did she actually threw up on the show. Like, legit. I've never seen it.
I couldn't help it. We had started the show. I felt fine. I was all ready to go. I took a drink of my drink and literally was like, oh, hold on. And I had to run off so quickly that I didn't even have time to like shut the door, and poor Ronnie just like heard it all. And it was awful. But I have to say, I rallied and I came back and did.
Oh, where did you go? Hold on. Sorry. Say it again.
No, I rallied and I came back and did the episode. So.
Sorry.
It was awful.
I clicked the button and I didn't get to hear her ending. She did rally. Well, and those should know that was actually an episode. This is why it makes it so weird and unique. This was an episode where we were recapping Hulu's Difficult People, and Julie got sick on the show. And it's just like the oddest thing because it wasn't
the exact same way. Like, it was, and it fit in perfectly. If I had to do it on any episode, that was the perfect one to do it in, because it was life imitating art.
When we put it on social media, it was funny, the reaction with different people. And I don't want to make it a generalization, but let's just, for the sake of argument, most of the people who saw it, guys, were like so fascinated by whoa, like wow, because it is a very unique and intriguing thing. The clip that was on Instagram, most of the women, however, were like mortified. Like, I almost felt like they were mad at me for putting the clip up, but it's like, they were like, "Oh, is she okay with you putting that up?" I was like, "I'm not like trying to make her look bad." And the women fought for you is all I'm telling you.
Well, and then everybody was like, "Are you pregnant?" And then it was like a whole other thing. I was like,
And then there's that.
"No, I just know it was."
Yeah.
It was not that. It was just. It was crazy because it just came out of nowhere, and then but it fit in with the episode, so whatever. But that's one thing I can say. Very few. I mean, I get embarrassed. Don't get me wrong, but it's also like, fuck it, shit. Life happens. So you'll get a lot of candid stuff from us on this show. Clearly from me, because I mean, how much more open can you get?
Yeah. We try, like I say, we try to be self-deprecating, and then it's like we're producing the show too. It's not like we have a producer who's like, "Oh, I think that needs to go in." We always just check with each other. If you want to know a rule of why our show works and why we win, and I'm gonna say win, Kelly, is because we don't need awards to tell us we are a winning podcast. I'm telling you right now, we are a winning podcast. Soon, many people will know that and see that. But the reason is because our communication is through the roof. I mean, has it fell off every once in a while? Maybe it's not easy. This is not an easy thing,
No.
I mean, if you think about like all the hours that you put in, you don't just put hours recording it. You also put the back end and the front end of all the shit. But our communication is always that. So if there was ever a moment where Kelly's like, I absolutely don't want that up there for whatever reason, even if it was like a thing of like people insinuating pregnancy, whatever Kelly says, we don't put it up. And same thing with me. If there's anything that puts me out of sorts, like I've had to tell her, we did a full episode once where it was out of sorts and we kind of cut that and redid it again. Usually we go live or live to tape, but we always respect our boundaries, like I said earlier. So just because you think you're seeing like kind of a rickety, sloppy show, like we're actually very diligent and badass if you really want to break it down.
But it's also very real. So it's not overproduced at all. I mean, and maybe one day it'll be, you'll see more of the production value, but it's also, I like it the way that it is because I like the realism of it. I like that you're seeing us for who we are, and this is who we are. This is the realest you'll see, and I like that. It's not the way it was if I was, doing a job, or if you were doing a job or anything, when you have to kind of put, that work part of you on. I don't feel. I mean, we do it a little bit, but for the most part, I feel like it's pretty casual and. That's why see, there goes again. I got to work on this filler work. But that's why you'll see me so much more fidgety and moving around and messing with my hair and messing with stuff because I'm nervous. And it's really uncomfortable for me, but in a good way, not a bad one, if that makes sense.
Well, here's the thing about broadcast or radio or television hosting is if you were to do these hours worth of shows and you were to walk off the set feeling like I got a ton of energy, that's because you weren't digging in and giving a good show. I've had these ones specifically when we would talk about like Billy Epstein on the show, Billy Eichner, but Billy Epstein on the show, and some of these gay storylines that he would have on the show. And then I would try to bring my own personal life into it. And Kelly would be like, so, Ronnie, have you ever, whatever she would ask. And I would always try to own, like, to just be as blunt, as honest as I can, which was something I was never able to do when Kelly and I met in my early 20s. So yes, to that point, once the show's over, I'm not like getting up like, well, what else do I want to do today? Usually I'm like, ooh, I'm a bit exhausted because we're putting so much into it. So that's what, to the point of what you made, is like, we are very giving on this show. So we give throw up. We give naughty Ronnie stories, like in the sauna episode, a young, not quite out 22-year-old Ronnie, but he's got to go explore all the holes. And I don't know why I keep saying that. But isn't that something? When you put more out there, it's gonna take more from you. So therefore, you're gonna be more exhausted. So I would like to think that anyone that does like our show, that they would be like, yeah, they kind of give it up. They have a real good freaking time. We're just giving you a little more behind the scenes because we're excited. We'll be on a bit of a hiatus now, and we're taking a little bit of a transition in between the way it started and where it's going. And yeah, I'm telling you, if you loved all things 90s, you're gonna get Kelly's 90s vibe, and you're gonna get my 90s vibe, which might be completely different, where you're gonna get tons of what it is to be in your 20s and 30s and have that slogan embedded into your head: work hard, play hard. But then when you like blink one day and you're like significantly over 36 and you're like, whoa, and why am I so bitter? And why am I so grumpy? And it's not that you're grumpy. You've just changed. You've evolved. I think if anyone who could relate to any of those three things I stated right now, I think you're going to be in for a fucking treat. I really do.
Yeah.
We're going to go hard. We're going to talk about, how dare Kellie Taylor try to get in between Brenda and Dylan.
Yes,
I mean,
let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm also going to talk about how I love Gina Kincaid, because I know most people like the early 90210, which I do too, but I always got to give a moment for the Gina Kincaid and Dylan and
Well, I got to tell you about my dinner with Gina Kincaid, Miss Vanessa Marcel. I had dinner with her once. I sure did.
Yeah, I know this. You've told me this. Yeah, but go. You could.
Love her. But there's so many great stories we have to share. Like there's tons. I mean, I have like so many interesting stories that I feel like if I don't like write them down or tell them, I'm gonna forget them in my old age.
Yeah, we've lived in
with all
LA.
My drinking and partying.
We've lived in LA and New York, and we've been privileged to be in radio, publicity, or just out in the streets. And it's all of these things. Not like our stories are like based on being celebrity stories, but you do find yourself in some really fun and unique things that why not come to our age where, again, we're significantly over 36, that we just like celebrate them and look back on them. So
my LA club nights, man, the people I used to run into, and when I had a doppelganger somewhere in LA that was like pretty connected, and that worked to my benefit. I don't know about hers.
They're like, nice to see you. You're like, I barely met you.
And I'm like, cool. Yeah, I was, the definition of just go with it back then with that. So that was hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, no, there's some good stuff, and we definitely want to incorporate our love for pop culture and for film and television and the way that it's kind of shaped us over the years, because there are definitely very well written characters that have played parts in how we've gone through things, and music, even the music throughout the years, be kind of fun to kind of go through that, and things you listen to when you got your first heartbreak, or when you celebrated your first thing, or what we were partying to way back when. Just kind of like revisit that stuff.
I think it's interesting to think of like influences too. Like I think of Janet Jackson, the music video If. It's like a convergence of all the things I love. It's the music video is great, but MTV during that premiere had a behind the video with Bill Bellamy as the host. And I remember being like, I not only love Janet Jackson, I'm looking at this job. Like, I'm like, this man gets paid to be a host at the set of a music video. To me, that was an awakening. I was like, that's what I want to do for my entire life. Like at 12 years old, watching that. And then and then Kellie, although we didn't awake for many years later, but I can track back watching that same If music video, and Bill Bellamy was talking to one of the dancers, and he had his like tight waistline, and he was like, yeah, I don't mind Janet Jackson slapping my head around a little bit if I got to. And I was like, oh, I like something about this. Maybe it's the dance. I didn't think it was the dance. You know what I mean? But that awakening of that, like, kind of like you're 12 years old and you're being taught, like, to be man up and, go watch the fucking Dodgers. And then it's like, you could do all those things too. But then you're also like, wait, there's another world out there and I want to explore it. So it'll be nice to do this with you, because I could talk 90s with somebody else, but they're not going to know 90s the way you and I know 90s, as far as our age. We're what, 1 year apart, 2 year apart?
I think almost 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe like at least a year and a half, I think.
She's my big sister. I've always wanted a big sister.
Super old.
Yeah.
But
all right, we'll wrap it up.
We've lived a lot of life, so it's gonna be fun to talk about it.
Do you have any last words here? Again, we'll take a little bit of a hiatus on the show. Do yourself a favor, go to difficultpodcasters.com, familiarize yourself with the shows. I would tell you that even if you didn't want to go watch the Hulu version of Difficult People, although you should, you could probably just enjoy each episode that we do, because we make it very much to the show, but then we also made it very much like our own stories, and like we question a lot of stuff and celebrate a lot of stuff too. So I really love the body of work, and we're just barely getting started. This is actually the beginning. So, last promo. Think of what you're going to say. One more promo. This is another one. Why didn't I think of this? Oh my gosh. Sorry. And I almost feel like there should be a reality show. Okay, wait, let me set it up. Let me make it full. All right, here we go. One more little trailer teaser of us. I almost feel like there should be a reality show about us trying to get to the point of doing the pod. And welcome to the show, Difficult Podcasters. And I was like, what was that? Bug? So you don't fart in public?
Never, at all. I don't do it at all.
Really, you don't? You don't? I mean, I know you do, but you're always going to be that girl that threw up during the podcast. All those memories of Kellie's dating life, it's like...
I know, it's like...
You are so weird. Let me tell you why I think she's weird. You see, that's what I love about this show, Kellie. I forgot about that moment too.
That's really cute.
As we're podcasters cringing over our early episodes, I forgot there was an episode too where you were talking about your love life, but then the light started flickering in your space, and I was like, oh, she's summoning up all those bodies.
I know. Somebody was not happy about those stories. Somebody was like, okay, that's enough. You're like, oversharing now.
It's like you said, we don't even plan a lot of this stuff. We just like dig in, and all this stuff just keeps happening.
So stick with us and see where the conversations take us.
Yeah. Will Ronnie throw up next? Who knows? Did you have any last bit of words, or shall we just take our little outro here?
No, I'm just excited, and I hope, those of you that have listened to our podcast continue to do so, and will kind of grow with us. I'm excited for this next chapter, and hopefully we'll, get it together, and I will rein back my but I'm gonna start counting them now.
do not do a drinking game of every time she says
hurt you.
And don't do a drinking game of every time I say, well, what do you think, Kellie? Well, what I think is
when Ronnie answers his own question.
I did it. We have another show on RandomlyRJ.com, and it's a project I do with my brother, which is so funny because we're like, I've always been into broadcast. My brother never has been. He's always been a 9-to-5er. I've always been like radio and media. We're just like two different people.
My sister, yeah.
Yeah. And so this is the first project we've ever done together. So we're recapping this one TV series, MTV and Paramount Plus's The Challenge. And so I'll ask him questions. I just heard this on the recent episode, and I'll be like, Richard, well, do you think this player did this because this, because I think why does he bother to bring a co-host if he doesn't allow the person to answer? And it was funny. One time I did a solo episode, and I was like, I wonder if I could do this on my own. Bitch, of course you can.
So these are a couple of things, our takeaways from this episode today. These are things we're going to work on. Yeah.
And I, of course, am better with Kellie, but geez, you really got to get better with this. Okay. We're very happy. Once again, I just want to definitely make mention, though, the words that do count and are important is, while we're taking a little bit of a break here, Viridian Row, go to the Instagram, check out all their new stuff. I love their quote t-shirts. I have 2 of them. Kellie's wearing one right now. And again, you could get them custom or however you would like to get. And there's a lot of really great artistic stuff there. Small business, you would be really behind the idea of supporting small business, which we love. And they are with us from the beginning and while we grow, so we thank them. One more time, let's take a little photo of Kellie. There she go. Oh, yeah.
Ronnie is such a son of a bitch.
Such a bitch. All right. Well, let's exit it. My last words are really sincerely thank you for checking out the show. It's such a cool thing that we started it, and we've been consistent. We've taken little breaks because we wanted to honor our mental health and our wellness. A lot of people don't really do that. We're a little too old to be giving it, every week. We respected ourselves, and I'm so fucking proud of what we've done. Thank you, co-host of mine.
Thank you all. And yes, thank you, Ronnie, for all that you do for our little show. And I really hope everyone sticks with us. And we definitely appreciate all of the support that we've gotten over the course of the beginning of our show.
This has been podcasters cringing at their early episodes, but we're self-deprecating. We put it all out there. Hopefully we continue to give you bigger and better stuff as we go forward. Ta-ta.
And if Ronnie posts that picture of me on Instagram, we might not have a follow-up. So
what photo? If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever, you got to get hip to the YouTube Difficult Podcasters. Oh my gosh, I am terrible.
Bye, guys.